Welcome to another show. You can't make this shit up. This is David over here in beautiful South Carolina, and I'm just off the GF campus now. And you can't make this shit up, David. We're doing this on the fly. Thank you for accommodating my schedule today.
Hey,
I
thanks for
appreciate
accommodating me and me not being in Florida. So we're
everybody.
accommodating one another.
I want to make sure everybody congratulates David. He'll eventually tell the world about his fiance and
Yes.
wonderful stuff that's going on in his life. But right now, we're talking about the Monroe Doctrine. So, very strange topic. People aren't familiar with it. What is, hold on. Today on our show, we're going to be looking at the Monroe Doctrine, initially created to allow the United States to act as a police force in the Americas. We have seen a steady decrease in the country's ability to hold influence in these countries. So, what's going on here, David?
So it looks like there's a re-examination of America's role in the world, particularly in Latin America, the backyard of the United States. And something with and please help me with the pronunciation of the new president-elect of Argentina, President-elect Milei. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll ask my fiance how to pronounce it because it is Spanish. But Bolivia's President Luis Arce spoke during the signing of agreements between Russia and China regarding lithium industrialization back in June 29th. And we're seeing more involvement of the Russians, of China in our own backyard. And this goes beyond, the Cuban Missile Crisis back in the, 50s, 60s? We're
Yeah, well,
seeing.
David, you're right, and you don't have to go that far back. You can go about 15 years ago when Evo Morales of Bolivia kicked out the Peace Corps and the Fulbright scholars. The U.S. diplomats had a difficult time winning friends, let alone spending U.S. aid. It's Bolivia became susceptible to the outside influences. So that's part of the that's that information is directly from the article. Latin America is no longer the backyard of the United States, written by James Cooper. So that's an example. 15 years ago, and what have we done? I mean, we've been over the years, we've invaded Panama to remove a dictator. We've had the war on drugs with Colombia and being the main focus. Now, where are we in the? See, this is a Joel frustration because Joel thinks of America as North and South America as the full, spectrum. So you've heard me before. If you think that a Canadian is not American, you're dead wrong. If you don't think a Brazilian is American, you're dead wrong. Because we all live in America. It's just we have America in our title. We are the United States of America. So we are 50 states that are part of this continent.
Mm-hmm.
So the Monroe Doctrine was simply to make sure that we had a strong place in our standing here in the Americas, and now we're not living up to our end of the bargain.
Sure. And I took special note of this particular topic, this article, and bringing it closer to home in Florida. We see DeSantis talking about, and this is not just Florida, but in other states, not allowing China to own any property or not allowing people who are Chinese nationals or Chinese businesses to own property in Florida. We're seeing a heightened focus on border security. You mentioned, the drug wars in Colombia. We're seeing Maduro, but I believe that's his name, President Maduro in Venezuela, push back on contracts in regards to the state-owned oil deposits. We're seeing more influence by the Russians and the Chinese in countries like Bolivia, like Argentina, like Venezuela, Colombia, so forth and so on. We're seeing a possible conflict um, between Guyana and I believe it's Venezuela over a newly found oil field that people want to take responsibility for and reap the benefits of. Um, America, going back to America, or the United States of America, we're seeing less influence impacting these countries in our backyard, and also by extension in Africa too. We're seeing many of the countries that are currently in civil unrest say that they're done with the colonists, and they're embracing other influencing countries like Russia and China. They're not tying economic benefits to social reform or cultural reform. They're like, hey, we want to invest in your country. There's no strings attached. As with the United States of America, there's always some type of strings attached. And I think that's where the pushback is. I know that was long-winded.
No, but you know, there's always strings attached. They're just not upfront. They all
Right.
come. But you know, we gave influence to China a long time ago. I mean, when we could produce goods at a cheaper price because the American Union, no, I'm just joking. It does play into it. But when the American Union decided that we needed to be overpaid and overfed, we're a country of gluttons. And honestly, uh, we say we're starving, and we're not even close to starving. So, not criticism, just the fact that our lifestyle is different, and we have to understand. When we talk about diversity, we always talk about diversity and all this stuff. Diversity is outside our country as well as inside our country, and that's more diverse than anything. Why do you think they come here? They come from all these different nations because there's something about our nation that's always been a light, a hope. We do live way better than people realize, unless you do go to Africa or Thailand or, when you go to Panama, it's eye opening. It's like, wow, you wouldn't think that you're that close to the United States.
Sure.
So, I don't think our influence is there because I think we're too much. I guess we're becoming the bully. You see what I'm saying? I think it's because people think of us as a bully, not a partner.
Right. And I think we're missing opportunities here in the United States to make those investments in countries like Bolivia, Argentina, in Africa, in Guyana, in Ethiopia, or whatever. We've had this history of overthrowing or supporting coups of duly elected leaders. And what the Russians and the Chinese are doing, and even the Japanese are doing, is say, hey, why not create opportunities in your country? Let us help you create opportunities in your country so you would not have to rely on the United States. You wouldn't have to leave your own country for opportunity in the United States. If we help you build your infrastructure, bridges, water systems, waste disposal systems, transit systems. Those infrastructure improvements will increase the quality of life for your people
Well, let's
and thus
take a look.
create opportunities.
So let's take a look at my book, Bringing America Together Again. Uh, when I write about Panama, I talk about
Yes,
I was part of
yes.
the last people in Panama. We were closing down the base because we were transitioning it over to the Panamanians, which was a process that started under Carter. It was pushed through the Congress by Ted Kennedy, a contract to stop our stop our control of the Panama Canal. So
Hmm.
over several years, we worked on training and getting them ready to take over. And what's the first thing they do is they sell it. They sell the canal to another country, and it's now run by another country. So all that work of training and all the stuff we invested is now gone. But we don't have the financial burden of widening the canal and all the work that has to come with it. So who's the winner? Like, could we have invested in just making it a bigger canal, because deeper canal, because the infrastructure is there. So Teddy Roosevelt, you don't have it anymore. You don't have that influence anymore.
Right. You've lived overseas. I've lived overseas. We've seen how the other side of the globe has lived. And when I went to Bangkok, my first impression was like, wow, I'm in New York City. And I saw the wealth and the opulence. And I say, this is just like any other big city on the planet. You had your high end grocery stores and department stores. You had the transit system. You had people, going to work, businesses, and you had government operating. What was surprising was some of my fellow Peace Corps volunteers thinking that when they landed in Bangkok, they were going to land in, some small rural, town or mid-sized city, and things a little bit backwards. It's like, no, I mean, you do watch TV, or you do read books or whatever, but and this was in the 80s, late 90s. I'm sorry, the late 80s, early 90s. And but going out into the rural areas, you saw the difference. However, as I look
Quickly.
back as I look back on it now, it's no different than some of the rural areas that we have here in America at the time. Granted, here in the United States, we had um, um, uh, sewer systems and things like that. We had indoor plumbing. In Thailand. There wasn't, you know, indoor plumbing in many of the homes.
Yeah, I'm looking at Panama. When I get out of Panama City, you know, it automatically looks like a whole different beast. You have the rainforest around you. You have uh, little communities. There's kids walking around with no shoes on and just you know,
Mhm.
their their shorts. And there's a person gets hit in the highway, and instead of rushing them to the hospital, they're covered and traffic's still going around. So it was eye opening. And the newspapers, right? When I talk about our press, you and I had this conversation. Our press is very nice to us because they don't feature the actual gore and everything that is out there. These other countries say, oh, a free press is a free press. So they're with the fear of God in you, with, hey, this is what happens when you're running from bombs. They'll take the pictures and put them right there on the cover. So I do, again, I think we're losing our influence just
Yeah.
because I think you're trying to be the bully instead of being a partner.
Right. I have to agree. In the recent debates on the Republican side, I just don't hear the Republicans nominees specifically saying, hey, we need to encourage our positive influence in other countries. We have to encourage our businesses to work with other nationals, other countries, increase that influence, that influence that not necessarily is military in nature. We need to get rid of that reputation. And again, the Biden administration, Kamala Harris's recent visit in Africa, uh, it it was painful to watch. It was very painful to watch, and we have to. Our best interest is the best interest of those countries that we're trying to partner with. And dollar diplomacy is where it's at.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. Democrats are not taking they're not taking the both the Republicans and Democrats are not taking a diplomatic approach. It's more of a political approach. And if we continue with the politics, we've seen where we're at right now. We're at a very tense part of George Washington presented the two-party system and talked about it. He said it would be the demise of our country. And we're seeing how built up, pent up anger and resentment has come to our nation. So, yes, we have internal problems, but we need to remember we have external problems that we need to be better stewards of. So, thank you, David. That's a good topic. I hope that people will give us comment, give us their opinion. Tell us about the dictators that we put in and took out and put in another one. So, I talked about Panama. Talked about Panama. That's a great story because any history buff knows that it was part of Colombia, and if it weren't for the United States, it wouldn't have had its independence. Even though they probably didn't want their independence, we wanted it more than they did.
Right.
So you play into the fact that Panama exists because of the United States, and then we take out a dictator, but you look back and you say, well, you put him in there. Who cares that he was a drug dealer? Now you pull him out and put him in prison in the United States. So you can't make this shit up.
There's plenty of opportunity overseas for Florida businesses, United States businesses, and I'm hoping that on both sides of the political ticket, that our presidential candidate nominees look for better opportunities to present the United States of America in a better light. Let's put it that way. And I think the United States had placed itself in a very difficult role as being the policeman of the world. And China and Russia are taking advantage of that. So thank you, Joel.
I'm going to holster my gun and I'm going to hit like, I'm going to subscribe, and I'm going to comment, no matter if I agree or disagree. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We're your political innovators here at Jay in Washington. We'll talk to you soon.